Donald Trump could face more indictment as soon as this week, but the polls suggest it's not damaging his popularity with Republicans one little bit.
What has happened? How big of a change is this, and how beneficial is it for Donald Trump?
Well, it's quite significant how it works as states pick their preferred candidates in a series of primary elections, and then delegates are then sent to the party convention to formally vote for a candidate. In this case, that'll be in Milwaukee in August 2024 for the Republicans. Now, the change here in California is how it was previously done, is the state delegates were sort of handed out depending on how well each candidate did. But in this change, it's going to be any candidate who gets 50% of the vote will take all of the delegates. Now, California is the most populous state in the nation, gets 169 delegates. Now, a candidate for the Republican nomination needs 1,234 across the nation to get the nomination. So 169 would be significant. The change, how it's different from how it benefits Trump, is that because he is such a front runner, and the latest poll coincidentally has him at 50% among California's Republican voters. So this makes it harder for a challenger to emerge against Trump if he's able to scoop up all the delegates in a state like California.
That's interesting, though. It's not necessarily a slam dunk for him in California, then, because he's, to my mind, well ahead in the polls nationally amongst Republicans. But in California, it's a bit more of a knife edge between him and who would be next, Ron DeSantis?
No, he's got a sizable lead over DeSantis. I think, according to the latest poll, Trump's on 50% and DeSantis is somewhere on 24%.
Ah,
But as you said, while Trump is clearly the front runner, if he can't get to 50% in the state vote, which is entirely possible, polls are wrong and he could end up on 49%, for example, then they'd be measured out differently. But I think Trump's camp is quite confident that they can meet that 50% threshold, and that's why his camp has very much welcomed this, whilst DeSantis and his team called this underhand and were not happy at all.
and how are things faring for his candidacy, not just in California, but across all the other states that he needs to sew up as well? Bearing in mind he's got all of these legal troubles following him still on a number of fronts.
Yeah, any other politician I can think of, all these legal woes would sort of torpedo your chances. But as we know, Donald Trump is not an ordinary politician. It seems that the more legal problems that pile up, the more the GOP base adores him. The polling shows he's still clearly the front runner. He's over 50% in many polls. DeSantis, meanwhile, who was level with him late last year, is now drifting badly. His campaign is really struggling. So even if Donald Trump could face more indictment as soon as this week, but the polls suggest it's not damaging his popularity with Republicans one little bit.
I know, as is always the case with US elections, we're talking about many, many months before we actually get to the actual choosing of who the candidates will be and then the actual blasted election itself. But how the timing's lining up for how troublesome various indictments and possible trials might be for Donald Trump as we look into that election calendar.
Well, that's the fascinating thing. A lot has been made of the time and of the trials and how it could impact the election. I've spoken to Republican strategists who say that the legal problems are good for Trump in the short term because they boost him among the base, and there's nothing DeSantis can do about that. But nationally, independent voters going to be more or less likely to plump for a man who they may have just watched on TV stand in trial for whatever offence Trump may end up or may not end up standing trial for. So I think certainly from consultants I speak to, they think that the legal problems help him in the primary, but will be a hindrance in a general election against whoever, possibly President Biden or whoever the Democrats put up.
Kieran, thank you.